I think it's fair to say that everyone would like to prevent violent crime. There are no pro-violent crime people that I know of that are reasonable people. So I think it's fair to say pro-gun, anti-gun, we all have the same goal. We all want to stop violent crime, and we're all willing to take whatever reasonable measures we can to stop violent crime. And one of the most reasonable means that people are talking about right now to stop violent crime is universal background checks. Now, surely universal background checks will work. Surely they're reasonable because they will keep guns out of the hands of people that will abuse them. So, I mean, who could argue that that isn't reasonable? Well, I think a lot of people could argue that that isn't reasonable because you have to sit down and you have to look at the actual reality of the situation and say, is it reasonable or is it unreasonable? Now, let's for one moment suspend the fact that such universal background checks are a gross overreach of federal authority. The Constitution strictly limits the powers the federal government has, and such an act would be far beyond those powers. They do not have the power to regulate what goes on within a state to that degree. So it is a gross abuse of federal power. But let's put that aside for a moment. Let's pretend that that's not the case, and let's just talk about universal background checks on their own merit. So do background checks stop crime? Is there any evidence that not being able to purchase a gun legally will actually stop the atrocities that we're all reacting to? Because let's face it, we're all reacting to things that have happened recently, things that have happened in the past, these tragic events. Those are the things we're trying to prevent from happening again. So let's look at universal background checks and see, would they have stopped any of these things? Now, I don't want to discuss any of the shootings specifically because I don't like to give these people any notoriety that they don't deserve. I don't want to make them any more infamous than they already are. So let's just talk about them in generalities here. Now, we had a military shooting, a shooting on a military base. That gun was legally purchased by a person that would pass a background check. So nope, the background checks would not have stopped that one. We had a mass shooting in a movie theater. Legally purchased guns by a person who had no criminal history and wouldn't have been stopped by a background check. So nope, background checks wouldn't have stopped that one either. We had a very tragic school shooting. Guns that were stolen from a person who legally bought guns who would have passed a background check. So nope, background checks wouldn't have stopped that one either. We had a mall shooting right here by me. Gun was stolen from someone who legally purchased it. Someone actually went out and stole that gun. So nope, background checks would not have stopped that one either. Then we have a case where someone was firing at first responders. They set a fire, they shot at the firemen and the paramedics as they showed up. Well, that gun was purchased for them through a straw purchase by another person who passed a background check. So a background check would not have stopped that from happening either. Now, I know it's easy to say, well, yeah, but if a bad guy went out to buy a gun with the intent to commit a crime, he wouldn't be able to get it and he wouldn't be able to commit the crime. Well, if he can't get the gun, he's going to use a bat, knife, whatever he can use. It's not going to really stop the crime. Now, let's face it, what petty criminal is going to go out and buy a $500-$600 gun to go knock over a 7-Eleven or a Subway sandwich shop and maybe make $100-$200? They're not even going to get their return back on their gun. So that's probably not going to happen either. So background checks probably aren't going to really help there either. How about spousal abuse? Someone going out and buying a firearm with the intent of killing their spouse. Well, let's face it, that doesn't happen that often. That's not usually the preferred method for that. When you see things like that, it's usually beating deaths, strangling deaths. You don't want to really leave a big mess and you don't want to make a lot of noise, so that's not the preferred method to get rid of a spouse and try to get away with it. So background checks aren't going to have a really measurable effect there either. So basically what it comes down to is, do you stop criminals by removing their tools? Nope, that usually doesn't work. They'll either find other tools or they'll find illegal ways to get their tools. So background checks really don't stop criminals from getting their tools. If you really want to stop violent crime, you don't limit the tools, you stop the formation of new criminals. Let's face it, you don't combat alcoholism by banning shot glasses. You combat alcoholism by treating the alcoholic. It's the same with violent crime. If you really want to stop violent crime, you do the things that will actually stop violent crime. Every time social services has enough money to intervene and remove a child from a dangerous situation, remove them from growing up in a bad home and put them in a place where they have a chance, that stops violent crime. That stops future criminals. Every time someone with drug and alcohol abuse receives proper counseling, they are able to pull themselves up out of the pit that they've gotten themselves into. That stops violent crime. That stops the formation of a future criminal. Every time someone who's down on his luck, who's lost his job, is able to receive retraining, able to receive help in finding a job, able to find financial assistance until they can get that new job, that stops violent crime, that stops the formation of criminals. And every time a serious criminal is kept in jail, kept in prison because the prisons aren't overfilled with nonviolent offenders and morality charges like drug abuse charges, things like that, when they're kept in there, instead of filling it up with high-profit, low-risk prisoners, that stops violent crime. That stops criminals from being on the street. So in the end, when you look at background checks, are they really reasonable? Do they really stop crime? Is there really a reason for them? There has to be a reason for them for it to be reasonable. So are they really reasonable, or are they just another incremental step in the agenda of people who want to destroy the Second Amendment and destroy personal liberties? Are they just a distraction from society doing the things that would really benefit us in the long run? So in the end, are they really reasonable? I don't think so. What do you think?